Motor yacht Venture had reached Dublin on her way from Southampton to Scotland. We were heading for Peel on the Isle of Man, best known around the world for the running of the TT motorcycle race. The wind had whipped up the seas, but the weather was from aft, so our ride was far from uncomfortable. After 6 hours underway, the Isle of Man came into view, and it too had a coastline you'd want to stay away from. The harbour at Peel was once again guarded by a massive fortress built in 1392 on the site of an 11th century Viking fort. The harbour could only be entered at high tide, so we had to wait until 10:30 before we could follow the navigation markers past the floodlit castle. Once inside, the harbour was very secure. At this time of year, in this part of the world, prickly yellow gorse covers the hillsides. Maybe this will be the next venture. A small smokehouse nearby offered local kippers for sale. These are smoked herrings. We drove around the TT course at a more sedate pace than the motorcycles due to blast around these regular roads at 200 miles an hour in a month's time. At low tide, the channel we had negotiated the previous night was almost devoid of water. At high tide it looked so different as to make it hard to believe it was the same place. When we left at high water, the flap gate is automatically lowered and the pedestrian swing bridge opened to allow us to pass. We recrossed the Irish Sea to Strangford Lough, a large body of water, 150 square kilometres in area, which has to fill and empty through a narrow channel at every turn of the tide. The tidal range is about 12 feet, so the tide can run at better than 7.5 knots, while 350 million cubic meters of water rip through this channel, creating eddies and whirlpools. Thunderstorms were threatening as we fought the strong currents. A 1.2 megawatt tidal generator has been installed in the channel. We were greeted by a rainbow and a very helpful harbour master at the marina in Portaferry. Our berth was situated at the end of the main street. The following morning, Chris used the aft control station to leave the dock. Manoeuvring around the marina was tricky with the strong currents. Strangford Lough is studded with many small islands and rocky outcrops called pladies. The chart shows us close to Dead Man's Rock. The bottom contours are very irregular due to drowned drumlins, a legacy of the last ice age, 10,000 years ago. These are the mountains of Mourne, which, in the words of the traditional Irish ballad, sweep down to the sea. This is the town of Strangford across the Narrows from Portaferry. There has been a ferry linking the two towns across this channel, where the tides run at 6 knots, for more than 400 years. There is considerable turbulence where the powerful ebb tide meets the open sea. A rogue wave came out of nowhere to soak me and the camera, which died on the spot, forcing me to switch to a backup for the remainder of the trip. After a quick stop for a crew change in Bangor, close by Belfast, we left the tip of Northern Ireland to call at Rathlin Island, for which this small ferry is also headed. A second, larger ferry sails twice per day across to the mainland of Northern Ireland. This is a male eider duck. We had visited the island in the hope of seeing the bird cliffs, but we were told that the mist would obscure the cliffs. The birds had gone fishing, and the bus driver had failed to show up, and maybe we should check at the pub. But we decided to check the cliffs from the sea, and true enough, there were few birds and poor visibility. We had now reached Scotland and arrived at our first cruising destination, the Isle of Jura. We entered the anchorage off the village of Craighouse, the only settlement of any size on the island. The following morning the clouds lifted to reveal the paps of Jura. Venture lay peacefully at anchor, ready for the start of our cruise through the Western Isles of Scotland, and from there to the Faroes and the circumnavigation of Iceland.